So if we have Kevin Baker, he's going first. Kevin Barker from the Energy Commission. He is the Transportation and Fuels Deputy Director, which is a big job. The Energy Commission is also a sponsor of this event, so thank you, Energy Commission, for bringing this event to our doorstep. And Kevin's team works to ensure that low-carbon fuels and advanced transportation improve air quality and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Before this deputy role, he served as the Chief of Staff for the chair of the Energy Commission, Robert Weisenmiller, so that is a big job. And as Chief of Staff, he represented the Energy Commission on international relations, military partnerships, and long-term planning for the use of energy resources. He also worked for the Energy Commission's Renewable Energy Office and holds 2 degrees from the University of California, Irvine, one in environmental science and one in film studies, as you do in Southern California. So is Kevin here, or is he still talking to the media? Yeah, Kevin, all right, well, you're up, buddy.
So I wanted to start with a little bit of context as to why we're all here, because we're in the transportation space, but why is it so important? And I think why now more than ever do we need to focus on it as the state of California. We've had a long history of clean energy. In fact, the renewable portfolio standard was put in place back in 2002, really to drive the electricity transformation from natural gas, coal-based to renewables. The good thing is, I think we've done a great job on the electricity side. In fact, the 2016 inventory, the electricity sector is actually 40% below where it was in 1990 levels. So the electricity sector, they've really been doing their part to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And you can see that on this slide. However, if we do look at the slide, if you look at the pie chart, the largest slice of the pie is the transportation sector. So, that could be a positive and negative thing. Let's talk about the positive. We can make a huge difference by really focusing energy on the transportation side. Direct emissions are about 40% of California's GHG, and then about another 10% come from oil extraction and refining. So at the Energy Commission, we have focused on a shotgun approach, if you will. We've been technology agnostic and really trying to drive to help incentivize multiple markets, everything from biofuels to hydrogen to electric vehicles. Our focus right now, I think we're trying to find out what that is. We have an annual investment plan that is currently being explored to where to actually allocate funds. Our program is about $100 million a year. We do have, I'd like to highlight a couple programs there. The Cal EVIP program, which is the California Electric Vehicle Incentive Program. This is the program for the mom and pop shops that want to show their environmental stewardship by having charging at their restaurants or faith-based buildings. And we provide rebates, and many of those rebates are for a large chunk of the infrastructure to have charging in their parking lots. The program, it takes about 30 minutes to fill out the application, and so it's a great way to have folks that have electric vehicles come to your small businesses. The program has been around for over 10 years now, and I'd like to highlight the geographic diversity of the program. It's hard to see on this slide, but the slide on the left is broken down by air basins. Or air quality management districts. So the brown, the reddish brown is the San Joaquin Valley. So we have had quite a bit of focus in the Central Valley, as well as the lighter greenish blue in Southern California. So it's a program, although we're based here in Sacramento, we do have a commitment to ensuring that funds help all Californians. Lately, there's been a increased focus to help those in disadvantaged communities and low income. I would, I guess, like to highlight the graphic on the right, which shows that 35% of all our funds have actually been in disadvantaged communities. This is for the life of the program. So the Clean Transportation Program has always been dedicated to focusing on increasing funding and opportunities for disadvantaged communities, not just with the recent mandates. I would then, I guess, transition, since we have 5 minutes, to just talk about infrastructure. We've done a great job through programs like the vehicle rebate program, and we have federal tax credit, and so a lot of the vehicles are being deployed. We have about 580,000 ZEVs out there in California today. We're well on track to meet, probably exceed, the $1.5 billion ZEV goal in 2025. However, it's not just meeting the goal if you have the vehicles, but we also need places to charge them. So unfortunately, right now we're behind in the charging, where we've heard of long queues in DC fast charging stations, not enough workplace charging. And so what we at the Energy Commission are turning our focus to is how can we have the charging infrastructure keep up with the actual demand of zero-emission vehicles. So this chart is highlighting we're at about 40,000 chargers. We have a goal of 250,000 chargers by 2025. And that's for 1.5 million. And then if we do have 5 million ZEVs on the road by 2030, what will be the charging infrastructure needs for those vehicles? The Energy Commission is in charge of coming up with the electric vehicle infrastructure assessment. That was through Assembly Bill 2127. And we will tackle that part of the equation to see what we need to do, and then to look at what kind of incentives can be out there in order to meet that. And then lastly, I guess I would focus on what we call the dragging curve. A lot of folks in the energy space have heard about the duck curve, and so we didn't want to be alone, and we wanted something a little scarier. And so we came up with the dragging curve. So if we do I think if we do hit these goals of zero-emission vehicles and in the deployment that we're looking for, we may have something like this. The dragging curve, let me try and explain a little bit. The fast charging shows the sort of the rigid back of the dragon, if you will, and so those will be high demand intensities during charging, a lot of times during the day when folks go to charging portals to get the 20-30 minute charge. Last week we had EVgo launched a set of chargers at the Southside Park. So if anyone in the Sacramento area, you guys go to the farmers market there on Sundays, make sure to walk right across the street. And you can see the chargers that we have there. And if you have an EV, take your car there and charge up while you get your farm fresh produce. But what this also shows is that the charging, the residential charging, likely is actually going to be towards the end. So folks get off towards the end of the day. Folks get off of work. And go home, they plug in. If we don't have smart charging, they automatically start charging their vehicles, whether it's trickle level 1 charge or if they have a level 2 charging. And so what that actually would do was exacerbate the problem of the duck curve. And so SMUD just rolled out their time of use rates. I think a lot of folks are trying to figure out what that means, and it really is going to, there's some additional charges for in the evening. The more vehicles we roll out, we might see that exacerbated. And so one of the things that we are looking at the Energy Commission are what are innovative ways of charging to help fix this problem, round out that curve. A lot of that could be workplace charging. So that I think could be a huge focus, is to have folks charging as long as they can get to their workplace and commute. Charge up there, take advantage of cheap, maybe free solar electricity that's on the grid, or may be curtailed if we don't have the demand, and then not charge in the evenings. So this is one of the issues that we're looking at doing more exploration. So I think we were going to hand it off or take questions. It's up.
There's a question or two, and then we'll move on.
Yes.
I don't have a deck, but I was just curious as to have you guys mapped out where all of the charging stations are at? There's an app that you would create so that drivers locate the station.
We didn't create it. That's already out there. And so there are, and I don't know what it is, but there are apps out there to help you locate where the charging are and the availability of it. So it's not just to know where the charger is if there's a queue of folks waiting to charge, but also the availability of the charger.